To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
Hello dear grade 7 children. Today we are going to learn the 10th lesson of the science textbook. That is, the correct use of the microscope. Now you have used the microscope last year to observe the microorganisms. Do you remember how we used that? You have not used it by yourselves, but your teachers must have taught you how to use the microscope briefly. In this lesson, we are going to learn more about the microscope, and we are going to learn about different types of microscopes as well. So let's see what are the topics that we are going to learn. So we are going to learn this lesson under 4 topics. The simple microscope. Under this one, we are going to learn about the hand lens. You all have used hand lenses, right? So we are going to learn about the hand lens as the simple microscope. And then we are going to learn about these 2 terms, magnification of a microscope and the resolving power, right? These are special terms related to the microscope. So we are going to learn the meanings of these terms, okay? And compound light microscope. Now we have used the compound light microscope to observe microorganisms, okay? And then finally we are going to learn about the electron microscope. So this is a practical lesson. So at school you will do a lot of experiments with your teachers related to the microscopes. You will observe many specimens under light microscope as well. So let's get started. Right children, we have to start this with an activity. Let's go through this. Many measures have been taken from ancient times to observe small things by magnifying them, right? So sometimes those ancient people, when they could not read small letters, they used to use a hand lens for that purpose. But later, spectacles were introduced, okay? Different equipment have been produced and used for this purpose, okay? So we are going to do the simple activity using different objects to observe small letters, right? So when people get old, when they cannot see the letters properly, most of the time they use spectacles. Not only old people, sometimes young people also, when they can't read, when they have eye defects, they have to use spectacles, right children? Now here, apart from spectacles, we are going to use different other objects to observe small letters. What are the other ways that we can observe small letters? Day-to-day life we don't use these methods, but we are going to use these different types of objects to observe small letters, to magnify them, right? So what are the objects we need? We need a glass bottle filled with water, right? And we need a glass sphere, and we need a glass slide with a drop of water on it. And then we need a colorless polythene bag filled with water. You have to seal it well, right children? And here we need a filament bulb filled with water and sealed well. So here the filament part. Now when you consider the bulb has a filament like this. So here we need to use only the bulb part. The filament part should be removed and it should be filled with water, and the top part should be sealed with wax so that the water will not leak out. Okay, therefore this is a filament bulb filled with water and applied wax, sealed with wax. Okay, let's write this. A glass bottle filled with water, filled with water, a glass sphere, a glass slide with a drop of water on it. Drop of water on it. Then we need a colorless polythene bag filled with water. It should be sealed. Right, children, and finally we need a filament bulb. Filled with water. That also should be sealed. We can use wax to seal it. Sealed. Right, children? A glass bottle filled with water, a glass sphere, a glass slide with a drop of water on it, a colorless polythene bag filled with water, it should be sealed, and a filament bulb filled with water, that also should be sealed with wax. So how to do this activity? Let's see. It's very easy. Observe small letters by using each of the above instruments or substances. Right? We can use those 5 objects to observe small letters. We can hold these objects over the small letters and we could see whether we can magnify, we can enlarge those letters through the objects. Let's do this activity now. Right, children. We are going to observe small letters with different types of objects. Here I have different objects. I have the book with small letters, and here I have different objects. You all can see this is a glass bottle filled with water, right? And you all can see this one. Now this is a filament bulb. You all can see very clearly, but the filament is removed, right? Filament is removed and this bulb is filled with water. And from here it is sealed so that the water will not leak, right? And you all can see this is a glass slide, right? And then this is a polythene bag filled with water. Right, children? So I'm going to take each of these objects and I'm going to observe these letters, okay? Right, you all can see, if you look at this book, you can see very clearly that you can see the letters. They are small. So let's observe what happens to the letters when we look through each of these objects, okay? I'm going to first place this glass bottle filled with water on this page. Look, children. So first observe the size of the letters. Now what happens, children? You all can see the letters are magnified. Letters are bigger this time, okay? So when you move this bottle like this, in this curved area, you all can see the letters are bigger than the middle, right? Observe very carefully. I will show it this way as well. Right, children? So when you look at these letters through this bottle filled with water, what happens? You can see bigger letters, right? Okay. Now I'm going to take this bulb filled with water, right? Look at these, children. Now this time also you all can see bigger letters, right? Letters are bigger than before, right? When you move this bulb like this, you all can see very clearly the letters are bigger, right, children? Okay. Now I will take this glass slide and I'm going to place this glass slide like this. Is there any difference, children? Can you see any difference here? There's no difference here, right? So the size of the letter is the same here. You all can see it's as same as this side. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a drop of water and place it on this glass slide, and then we will observe again. Right. Okay, children. Now look at this one. You all can see the place where this drop of water present, the letters are bigger. Can you see? Observe very carefully, children. Here. You all can see. When I move this one, it's very clear that the letters are bigger than before. Right, children? So even though using only the glass slide, we can't observe bigger letters. When we place a drop of water on this glass slide and when we look through that one, we can see bigger letters. Right? Now finally, I am going to take this polythene bag filled with water. Let's see. Okay. When I move this bag like this, you all can see through this bag, you can see bigger letters. So when you move it to other side like this, you all can see in the edges, letters are bigger than the middle. Right, children? Okay. So all these objects we used could be used to observe bigger letters, children. One common feature of all these objects we used first, they all contain water inside. What is the other common feature, children? If you observe very carefully, there's another common feature to all these objects. Now look at the surface, children. You all can see this surface is round, right? This is a round surface. It is curved outwards, right? What can you tell about this one, children? This bulb is also curved outwards. It's a round surface, right? And what can you tell about this bag? You all can see that is also round. Okay, that is also curved shape, curved outwards. And when you consider the drop of water, what can you say, children? So even though we used only the glass slide, we could not see any difference of the letters. But when we place this drop of water, what happened? We could see bigger letters very well. Now look at the shape of the drop of water, children. Can you see? It is also curved, right? The surface of this drop of water is also curved. Right, children? Right. So it's very clear that when we use these type of objects, right, the curved objects, when the surface is curved and transparent, and all these things are transparent. Can we see anything if these objects are not transparent? No. Right? All these objects we used are transparent. So when we look through something transparent and with a curved surface, it's very clear that we can see the image or the objects that we are looking through bigger. Now in this case, we used book with a small letters. So here we could read the letters bigger. Right, children. So you observed what happened. Now this experiment you all can try to do at home if you can find those objects. Now some of those objects you can find very easily, right? A polythene bag filled with water, filament bulb filled with water, glass bottle filled with water. Those type of objects you can find at home very easily. So what happened when we look through those objects? What happened, children? We could clearly see that the small letters are enlarged or magnified, right? Magnified in size. We'll write that. We'll look through the above objects. The above objects magnified letters could be seen. Magnified letters could be seen. The size is increased. When looked through the above objects, magnified letters could be seen, which means these type of objects can be used to read the letters very easily. Right, children? Okay. Now, one common feature of the above mentioned instruments is the presence of water. Right? So, most of those objects contain water. Okay? Did you find out another feature common to all instruments? What is the other feature common to all instruments, children? Now, we'll go back to our objects, children. Right. Now here, a glass bottle filled with water. Now, surface of the bottle is curved. Right, the surface of the bottle is curved. A glass sphere. The glass sphere, obviously, the surface is curved. Right. What about the glass slide? Now, glass slide is flat, but because of the drop of water. Now, if you consider the cross section, if this is the glass slide, if drop of water present on this one, this drop of water is curved. The surface is curved. Even though the glass slide is flat, the surface of the drop of water is curved. Right, children? What about the colorless polythene bag filled with water? That is also, the surface is curved. Right, children? And the filament bulb? The surface of the filament bulb is also curved surface. So, the other common feature for all these objects is they contain a curved surface. This surface is curved outwards, right? So, or protruded. Okay, children? So, you must have observed that the other common feature of the above instruments was the curved surface or the protruded surface. Right? Which means when we use these type of curved surface, when we look through the curved surface, we can read bigger letters. Right? The letters get magnified. Look at this picture. These letters are very small, but when you use a glass sphere like this, through the glass sphere, you can see very easily the letters are magnified. Right, children? You might now understand that these curved surfaces can be used to magnify small items. Right? These surfaces curved outwards are known as convex surfaces. Right? Convex surfaces. Convex surfaces are the surfaces that are curved outwards. Okay, children? So, convex lens is an instrument with these features. How to draw a convex lens? This is the way to draw a convex lens. Right? So, convex lens has curved surfaces like this. Right? Convex lens have curved surfaces. These surfaces are curved outwards. There are two types of lenses, convex lens and concave lens. Now, concave lens, when we consider the concave lens, they also have a curved surface, but these curved surfaces are curved inwards. Right? If you look at the cross section of a convex lens and cross section of a concave lens, you can see the difference, right? So, the cross section of a convex lens, the surfaces are curved outwards. In concave lens, they are curved inwards. Right, children? You are going to learn more about convex and concave lenses in the upper grades. Right, children? So, convex lens is an instrument with these features. Therefore, convex lens can be used to magnify objects, right? Which is found in school laboratory, right? Convex and concave, all these types of lenses can be found in the school lab. But in this lesson, we are particularly discussing about the convex lenses because we are learning about microscopes. When we use microscopes to magnify objects, look through the objects, a bigger image of objects. So in that case, we have to use a proper lens which we can use to magnify the objects. In that case, this is the perfect lens, right? Therefore, under this lesson, we are going to pay attention to these convex surfaces or convex lenses, okay? Right. So first we are going to learn about the simple microscope. Now you can get an idea that when it comes to microscopes that they contain lenses, convex lenses, okay? The hand lens, what is the meaning of a simple microscope? It is the hand lens, okay? Or simply we say magnifying glass, right? A hand lens or simple microscope can be produced by fixing a handle with a frame to a convex lens, magnifying glass. Okay, so this is the convex lens. Earlier also I drew a convex lens here and a concave one as well, right? Convex lens. Now when we consider convex lenses, they are different from each other, right? So when you consider this curvature, some convex lenses are there, they are more curved, right? The curvature is high. Now when you compare this one and this one's curvature is less, which means it's less curved. If you consider this one, this is curved more, right? It is known as curvature. Curvature means how much it is curved, right? This one's curvature is higher than this one. It looks shorter, but at the same time, the curvature, it's more curved than this. Right, children? So these are hand lens made by using convex lenses. There are different types, different sizes of hand lens that we can use. Most of you must have used hand lenses like this. Sometimes in certain pencil cases also this type of small piece of hand lens is fixed. Okay, children? Right. We'll move on to the next. Right, we have another activity to do. This time we are going to use a hand lens to read the small letters. Now we already used different types of other objects with curved surfaces to read small letters, to magnify the letters. This time we are going to use a hand lens for that purpose, okay? Using a hand lens to observe small letters. So what do we need? We need a hand lens. And we need a book with small letters. A book with small letters. Right, now hand lens, so magnifying glass. So now we just learned that this is also known as simple microscope. Right, we call this simple microscope because one convex lens is used here, okay? So this activity, again the same thing. This time we are going to use hand lens to read the letters. Observe the small letters using the hand lens. Make sure to adjust only the object, right? Or the letters, and do not change the distance between the lens and the eye. So when you use the hand lens, you have to keep the hand lens at a certain distance. While reading, you have to adjust the distance of the book, distance between the book and the hand lens, right? By moving the book. But hand lens, normally you don't keep it very close to your eye. There should be a certain distance away from the eye. So that distance must be there as it is. You can adjust the distance of the book. Okay, so make sure to adjust only the object or letters and do not change the distance between the lens and the eye. Let's do this activity now. Right, children. Now we are going to read small letters using a hand lens. Now you all are familiar with hand lenses. Sometimes we even use hand lenses as toys in certain instances, okay? Right. Here I have different sized hand lens. Right? Now what is a hand lens, children? Hand lens is a convex lens with a handle and a frame. Right? Now look at this one. This is the lens part. Right? This is the lens part. This is the frame. This is the handle. So what is this lens, children? This is a convex lens. Convex lens is curved outwards. Okay? Now here, this is another type of hand lens. Right? This is a smaller hand lens. Right? So now these are the convex lenses. Now check whether you can see whether this convex lens from both the sides, they are curved outwards. Right? Right. Now this convex lens is thicker than the first one. Check whether you can see that. Right, children? So they are curved outwards. If you observe these two parts, you can see it is thicker. right? Middle part is thicker than the edges, right? Right, children. So we are going to use a hand lens to read these small letters. Now here I have a book with very small letters here. We'll try to read this one. Right, children. Remember, there's a certain way that you can use this hand lens. The length between or the distance between your eyes and the hand lens should be the same. You are not going to move it like this, right? You need to keep the hand lens away from your eyes at a certain distance, and you are not going to change that distance, okay? You are going to change only the distance between the book and the hand lens, the object and the hand lens, okay? Now check whether, first of all, I am going to keep this book very close to the hand lens. Can you see a difference, children? No, it looks the same size. Now I am going to take this book a little by little away from the hand lens. Check what happens this time. You all can see this time the letters are magnified, bigger than before. Right, now you all can see at this point, you can see maximally magnified letters. I will take this book more and more away from this hand lens. Check what happens. Now you all can see the letter gets blurred. They are not clear anymore. Again, when you bring this book towards the hand lens, now this time you can see clear letters. Right, children? Okay. So we can use the hand lens to read bigger letters, but the thing is there's a certain distance that you have to maintain. So it's very clear that when we use the hand lens, between the hand lens and the object there should be a certain distance in order to read more clear and bigger letters. So if you change that distance, we cannot read the bigger and clear letters anymore. Right, children. So you observed what happened. Some of you must have done this at home too, right? So what happened when we look through the hand lens, we can see magnified letters. So when you adjust the distance between the hand lens and the book, what happened when you keep on moving? So first, when you keep the hand lens very close to the book, you will see the letters as it is. But when you increase the distance between the hand lens and the book, what happens? That the letters get enlarged, and after one point, you can't see a clear image. So when you move it away, the letters get bigger, and at one point, you can see the biggest letters, and after that point, the letters will become unclear, which means there's a certain way you have to keep it. So there's a certain distance between the letters or the object and the hand lens when you observe properly, okay? Right, so observation here. When look through the hand lens, magnified letters could be seen. When look through the hand lens, magnified letters could be seen. Okay? Right. Okay, here again. You will observe that when the distance between the hand lens and the letters is increased gradually, letters will appear larger. At a particular limit, the letters will be seen with the maximum size, right? When the distance is increased further, the letters will become unclear, as I explained earlier. Now, when you move the book more and more away from the hand lens, the letters get larger, and at one point, you will see it with the maximum size. After that point, if you try to move the book further away, the letters become unclear, right? Therefore, you will realize that there should be a constant distance, a certain distance kept between the object and the lens when an object is observed by a hand lens. There should be a constant, specific distance kept between the object and the lens when an object is observed by a hand lens. Okay, children? Right. So now we are going to learn certain terms related to these hand lenses and microscopes, right? Let's see. Magnification of a microscope and resolving power, right? So when we discuss about the microscopes, you always have to use these terms: magnification, resolving power, or resolution. What is the meaning of these words, children? Let's see. What is the meaning of magnification? Now you all know that when we look through a hand lens, the letters look bigger, right? Letters appear larger than before, which means the letters appear larger than many times than that of the normal letters, right? This number of times it gets bigger or larger is known as magnification, right? You might have observed that the size of the letter will be increased by several times. So how many times it happens is indicated by the magnification, right? The number of times a specimen means the object that we look through, right? Specimen is magnified is known as the magnification of the lens or the magnifying power. Magnification or magnifying power, right? Magnification or the magnifying power. The number of times a specimen is magnified, right? The number of times a specimen is magnified is known as the magnification of the lens or the magnifying power. So when it comes to hand lens or convex lenses, what happens? This magnifying power depends based on the curvature. I told you all some lenses are curved more, some lenses are curved less, right? So depending on this curvature, how much it is curved, this magnifying power is also different, right? You are going to learn about it in the upper grades, okay? Right. We'll move on to the next. Right. We have an activity to do. Observe different things by using a hand lens. Use a table to record your observations. Try to separate things which cannot be seen through your naked eye clearly, right? So one example is given here, soil sample. So if you observe a soil sample, if you take a soil sample and if you observe it under microscope, you could see these type of things. Sand particles with different sizes, gravel and several insects are observed, right? But these particles contained in a soil sample depends on the place that we obtain it from, right, children? So you will be able to see some humus, which means that plant and animal materials, the decaying materials, if you took this soil sample from under a tree, likewise, okay? So now we are going to go to lab and observe some other similar samples under the hand lens. Right, children? Now we are going to observe different samples with the hand lens. Now here first of all we have a soil sample. We'll observe this one first. Yeah. If you observe carefully, even at home, if you have a hand lens, you all can do all these activities at home, right? Except for the chemical sample that I'm going to show you all today, right? Okay. Here. Now when I observe this soil sample, I can see sand is there, right? Different colored particles also present, children. Can you all see this one? There are small stones present, and there's an insect also present. Insect also moving through this soil. And you all can see dried leaves present here, right? And parts of plant roots, parts of plants. There's a snail shell. Can you all see that one? There's a snail shell present, right? Okay. Gravel, tiny other pieces present. Okay, children? So the things that present in each soil sample differs based on the place where we obtain the soil sample from, right? And even the colors also different. Now I have the sand sample here. We'll observe this one as well, right? So here I can clearly see different sized Sand particles. Can you all see, children? Sand particles are there. Small, very small stones are there. You all can see very clearly there are some black color particles. There are different substances mixed with soil, so here observe very carefully. There are some black color particles present. Right, children? So these black color particles are not very clear when I don't use the hand lens. Only with the hand lens I can see them very clearly, right? Yeah, you all can see very clearly now. Right. Here I have a mixture of sugar. Here we'll see it's brown sugar and white sugar are mixed with each other. Right. So you all can see very clearly bigger crystals of brown sugar than that of the white sugar. Right, children? Yeah. Brown sugar crystals are bigger than that of the white sugar crystals. Right, children? Look at this. This is a spice mixture. Different types of spices are mixed here. Can you all see? Now when you look at this like this, you cannot see everything very clearly. You can see it's just a mixture. But when you use the hand lens, you can see very clearly. Can you all see orange color particles, children? That is chili powder. And if you observe very carefully, you can see light brown color powder is also there. That is the curry powder. Right? And yellow color powder is also there. That is turmeric. And here and there you all can see white color. Okay, that is salt. Right? So using the hand lens, you can observe the different parts, different particles and other substances present in the mixture better. Right? And here I have a mixture of chemicals. Right? Look at this one. Can you all see? Now here you all can see some blue and black color substances present. When you use the hand lens, you can see this blue color substance as crystals. Very clear crystals can be seen. Blue color crystals. This is copper sulfate crystals. And the black color substance here on the side, you all can see that black color substance as a powder. That is the iron powder. Right? Mixture of iron powder and copper sulfate, blue color copper sulfate crystals. Right, children? So you also can observe different samples. It doesn't have to be the very same samples that I picked today. You can observe different other samples using hand lens, and you will realize that using the hand lens you can identify the things that are present in each sample better. Right, children? So we observed different types of samples and we could identify. Now most of those samples, they were mixed together and we could clearly see under the microscope, under the hand lens, we could see very clearly what are the particles present in each sample. Okay? Right. Materials observed. We'll write what were the samples used by us. We used a spice sample. We used a spice sample. Spice sample and sand mixture. Sample. We'll write sand sample. What were the others used by us? Let's draw. Right, okay. Number 4, we used sugar sample. We use sugar, brown and white sugar mixed together, remember? Sugar sample. And then chemical substances mixed together. Chemical sample. Or chemical mixture. Right? So, using a hand lens, we observed all these samples. What happens? Spice sample, what could we observe? We could see curry powder, salt, chili, and turmeric powder. Right? Sand sample, there were sand particles. And there were some black color particles. We'll write black particles. So using the hand lens, we could observe all these particles better than using the naked eye. Sugar sample, white sugar, brown sugar, right? Chemical sample, sulfur and copper sulfate and iron was mixed together, right? So copper sulfate, iron, right children? So you also can do these type of activities even at home. Soil sample, like you can take soil samples from different places and you will see they are different from each other. Those samples are different from each other when you look through the hand lens. Okay, so these type of activities are very important to improve your knowledge, and you can improve your observation ability as well. Right, let's move on to the next. Right, so the next term related to this lesson, very important term, resolution. Another name is resolving power. What is the meaning of resolution, children? Let's go through this. Resolution is the minimum distance by which two points must be separated in order to be seen as two distinct points. Which means, let's say that if we put two dots here, right, I drew two dots, right? You can identify them as two separate dots, 2 points, right? Now, I am going to keep them a bit closer to each other. Even now, still you can identify it as 2 dots, 2 points, right? What about now? I put 2 dots, but can you identify it as 2 separate dots? They are present too close to each other. Therefore, it's very difficult to identify these 2 dots as 2 dots. They look as if it's 1 dot. Right? Here, 2 dots, they are present. We can clearly identify. Here also, I put 2 dots. I drew 2 dots. You can still identify it as 2 separate dots. Here also, I drew 2 dots very close to each other. They are so close that we can't even identify they are 2 dots, 2 separate dots. Right? Which means our eye can identify only when there's a certain distance between 2 separate dots, 2 separate points. Right? If that distance exceeds means if it gets too close, our eyes cannot identify it as 2 separate places or points. Right? So resolution is the minimum distance by which 2 points must be separated in order to be seen as 2 distinct points. After that minimum distance, if the 2 points get closer more than that minimum distance, we cannot identify it as two separate points. This is what happened here. Right? Okay. So there should be at least a minimum. Now this resolution means the minimum distance by which. Now the resolution changes from one type of hand lens to another type of hand lens, from one type of microscope to another type of microscope. What about the human eye? There should be at least a minimum distance of 0.1 millimeters. You have to memorize this. 0.1 millimeters between two adjacent points, right? 2 points close to each other to distinguish, to separate between them by the naked eye, right? If at least 0.1 millimeters of minimum distance must be there between two dots. Now, why can't we identify these two dots as two dots, two separate dots? Because the distance between these two dots is less than the 0.1 millimeters, right? If it's less than 0.1 millimeters, the human eye cannot identify it as two dots, two separate points, right? So the minimum distance that we can identify is 0.1 millimeters. Here, it is even less than 0.1 millimeters. That is why here we can't see it as two separate points. Okay? So therefore, what is the resolution of the human eye or resolving power of the human eye? That is 0.1 millimeters, right? Now you will realize that the resolution of the naked eye is around 0.1 millimeters. Right, children? So as we get older, our eyesight gets weaker. So in that case, what happens to the 0.1 millimeter distance? It increases, right? Even under 0.1 millimeter distance, our eyes cannot identify two separate points. Right, children? So normal, healthy human eyes resolution or resolving power is 0.1 millimeters. Okay, you have to memorize this. We'll move on to the next. Right. So we have an activity to do related to this resolving power or resolution. Testing the resolution of a hand lens. Now we know the resolution of the healthy human eye is, or naked eye is, 0.1 millimeters, right? What about the hand lens? It depends on the curvature, but here we are going to get an idea about that, right? So we need a colorful picture taken from a newspaper and a hand lens. A colorful picture from a newspaper. Hand lens. A hand lens. A colorful picture from a newspaper and a hand lens. Okay, so how to do this activity? It's very easy. Observe a picture from the paper with a hand lens. Present your observations to the class. Okay, children, you have to observe the colorful picture under the hand lens and you can discuss what happened. We'll do this activity now. Right, children. So by doing this activity, we are going to prove that the resolving power or resolution of the hand lens is higher than that of the naked eye. What is the meaning of resolving power, children? Now you all know that when two dots present very close to each other, we can understand that whether these are two dots only if there's a certain gap, right? This minimum distance is known as resolution. Right, children? Okay. Now, look at this one. These are the pictures taken from newspapers. You all can see there are two small pictures, right? So, we can see them as a normal picture with our naked eye. Now, I'm going to look at these, observe these pictures through the hand lens. Right, let's see. Right. So when I look at these pictures through hand lens, it's very clear that even though we can't see with the naked eyes, these pictures are made up of by combining very tiny dots, children. Sometimes you might not be able to observe it very clearly with the camera, but at home you all can do this activity, right? Specifically, you have to take a news picture or very colorful picture taken from a newspaper, so you can observe this effect very well, right? So I can observe these tiny dots very clearly. So it's very clear both the pictures are made up of very small dots by combining these small dots. But without the hand lens, I cannot see any of these tiny dots. Only with the hand lens, I can see the tiny dots. What is the reason, children? That is because the resolving power or the resolution of the hand lens is higher than that of the naked eye. With the naked eye, we can see only up to a certain extent. But with the hand lens, the small spaces between these tiny dots also we can see, which means the resolving power of the hand lens is higher. Right, children? So you all observed what happens, children. What happens when we look at that newspaper through the hand lens, children? You can see that the picture is made up of by combining a large number of small dots. But can we see it without the hand lens? With our naked eyes, can we observe that, children? No. We see a normal picture, right? But when we look through the hand lens, we can clearly see that the picture is made up of tiny dots, a large number of tiny dots, right, children? Which means we can come to a conclusion that the resolving power, the resolution of the hand lens is higher than that of the human eye. Otherwise, if our human eye's resolution power is also similar to the hand lens, we also could see that small dots even without the hand lens. Right, children? So those dots present too close to each other so that our human eye cannot identify. What is the resolving power of the human eye? 0.1 millimeters. So those tiny dots in the newspaper presents even closer than 0.1 millimeters. That is why normally without the hand lens we cannot identify them when we look at the newspaper. Right, children? Only with the hand lens we can observe those tiny dots. Right? Okay, so the observation is the image is made up of, or it composes, the image is composed of a large number of tiny dots. Right? The image is composed of a large number of tiny dots. Without the hand lens, we cannot identify them as tiny dots because our resolution power is less than that of a hand lens. Right? So using a hand lens, you can observe these dots very clearly. Right? So the conclusion is the resolution of the hand lens is higher than the resolution the naked eye. The resolution of the hand lens is higher than the resolution of the naked eye. That's why we can see the dots very clearly under the hand lens. Okay? Right. So you will observe that the respective image is composed of a large number of small dots seen by the naked eye. You will see these dots very clearly with the hand lens. Now you will realize that the resolving power of the hand lens is higher than the resolving power of the naked eye. Right, children? Okay, we have another activity. For this activity, it's also a similar activity, but we are going to use two hand lenses, right? Testing the resolving power using two hand lenses. Now, we all already know that the resolving power of one hand lens is higher than that of the naked eye, right? So, here we are going to use two hand lenses. Let's see. We need a white paper. We need a white paper, a pencil, and two hand lenses. Right? A white paper, a pencil and two hand lenses, right? Okay, so how to do this activity? There are two diagrams A and B. Mark two dots with a minimum distance of not touching each other. You have to take the white color paper. You have to draw two dots very close to each other, but they should not touch each other. Right? They should not touch each other, but they should be very close. Right? They should be very close. Mark two dots with a minimum distance of not touching each other. Right? Observe the distance between the two dots and their magnification. How large it gets, right? Two dots and their magnification by using a hand lens. That is diagram A. Right? You have to look through one hand lens and you have to check what is the magnification and what is the distance between the two dots. Right? Now use two hand lenses to observe the distance between two dots and their magnification. Now here you have to look over two hand lenses. Right? So if you have two hand lenses at home, you can do this activity also at home very easily. Let's do this activity now. Right, children? Now we are going to use two hand lenses and we are going to prove that the resolving power and the magnification increases when we use two hand lenses together, right? Okay. So I already explained you all how to do this activity. First of all, you have to draw two dots very close to each other. Now, can you all see these two dots here? They are very close to each other. Right, children? They are very close to each other. So when we look at it with our naked eye, you all can see there's only a very tiny gap between the two dots. Right? Now I am going to use this hand lens to observe these two dots. Let's see what happens. Now you all can see very clearly that the distance between the two dots is higher this time. The gap between the two dots is higher. And what can you tell about the magnification? You can see the image larger than before. Right, children? So which means when we use one hand lens, the resolution power or resolving power and the magnification increases than that of the naked eye. Now what I am going to do is I am going to hold the second hand lens above the first hand lens. Let's see what happens now. Right. Observe very carefully. Right. What can you all see, children? You all can see that the distance or the gap between the two dots is higher this time when we use one hand lens, right? What can you tell about the magnification? The size of the image is also bigger, higher than that of the first hand lens. Okay, children. So earlier with one hand lens, we could see that the magnification and the resolving power is higher than that of the naked eye, right? Now because the resolving power is higher only, we can see the distance between the two dots is higher, right? So you all know that resolution means the ability to identify two adjacent places, dots together separately, Okay, children? So, here using one hand lens, we can identify the distance or the gap between the two dots is higher, right? Which means the resolution is higher, right? When we use the second hand lens above the first hand lens, this distance increases than before, which means resolution power is higher, even higher than that of the first instance, right? And the magnification is also higher, right? So after doing this activity, one thing is very clear. Using one hand lens, the resolving power and the magnification can be increased, right? But when we use two hand lenses together, this resolving power and the magnification is maximum. Right, children? So you all observe what happened. In the first instance, we used only one hand lens to look through the two dots. Then we used two hand lenses. What we had to observe is the distance between the two dots and the magnification. So obviously when we used one hand lens, what happened? We could clearly see that it has two different dots and the magnification is also higher than that of the naked eye. But what happened when we looked through two hand lenses? The distance between the two dots were even higher and the magnification was also even higher than the first instance, right? Which means we can use two hand lenses instead of one hand lens. We can use two hand lenses to get a better resolving power and a magnification when we look through something. Okay, children? Right, let's write this. The distance between the two dots and the magnification are maximum and the magnification are maximum when two hand lenses were used. Right? The distance between the two dots and the magnification are maximum when two hand lenses were used. So what is the conclusion? To obtain a higher magnification and a resolution, resolving power, now here the distance between the two dots gets higher means the resolution is higher, right? So that's why we can clearly identify two dots as two dots very easily, right? The distance between the two dots increases means what happens, children? The resolving power, resolution is higher, right? That is why to obtain higher magnification and resolving power, two hand lenses can be used. Two hand lenses can be used, right? To obtain higher magnification and resolving power or resolution, two hand lenses can be used, right? Okay. So it must be clear to you that the distance between the two dots is maximum and magnification is also maximum when two lenses are used for the observations, right? Accordingly, two hand lenses or two convex lenses. Now, hand lens is made up of a convex lens, right? Two convex lenses can be used to obtain higher magnification and high resolution. So this method is used in the compound light microscope. Now we already learned about the simple microscope, which means the hand lens. Compound light microscope. We are going to learn about the compound light microscope next. Here we are going to learn that it is made up of two hand lenses, right? Similarly, the compound light microscope is produced using two convex lenses with a high magnification power. So we have completed this chapter. In the next chapter, we are going to learn about the compound light microscope.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.